Also a time where we read some viewer mail, sometimes comments from social media, sometimes physical letters that Christina goes to the post office and gets. This time it's a physical letter.
Christina got a big promotion recently. She still's the one who goes to the post office?
She does it on her personal time.
Wow. Maybe that's why she got the promotion.
She's a hard worker.
Yeah, wow.
Totally dedicated.
Dear Wilds, love the show, and we disagree that you've been mailing in the Bud List introductions. Although we know the accusations cut you to the core. So we sent you a present. Wow, thanks, Ryan and Brian. What in the world? Ryan and Brian? What are you doing? Oh, crumble cookies for me! Wow! Brian and Brian. Hey, guys, crumble cookies for us.
Oh,
wow. Here goes the Bud List.
Look at this.
This
is not a cookie. I gotta say,
you know what?
Crumble. This is not a cookie. This isn't a pan.
It was supposed to be a joke, but I know that would upset you.
There you go.
Thanks, Ryan
None
and
of
Brian.
them are cookies. They're cakes.
Yeah.
This one is a
cookies.
cookie. These look great. This is the special Easter pack.
Wow.
Thank you, Crumble Cookie, who we've put on the show several times, and they sent us a $50. I don't know if this show might not be doing that. It's like several
They're not
times.
an official sponsor yet?
No, they sent like Gianna a $100 gift certificate.
Okay, all right. Well, then, yeah. All right.
Probably should stop
Wilds,
doing that. But they are great.
You can do the Bud List while
I just think, here's the deal. I think that if that doesn't change, we become an insomnia show. I'll just tell you right now.
Here's the other thing, quickly. Dusty comes up with 2 boxes of crumble cookies. I said, Dusty, I only need 1 box. He's like, we always get 2. I said, why? It's supposed to be a show prop. He's like, and then he just left. All right, sorry, one last time.
Good work. Now, that's what I call an introduction.
Oh, good.
Excellent work. All right, let's get to it. Number 3, Nick, like I said, you're going to like this. It's very interesting. Trae Young. All right, as we enter still the play-in for them. Here's the deal. Trae has had a very interesting and unique career arc. Like, I just kind of realized it as I was looking at his stuff. You came in the league right away and put up great numbers, 19-8 as a rookie. Second year, 30 points a game, basically 30 points a game you round up, and 9 assists a game. And then your third year, you lead the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible career the way it started. But then since then, it's kind of been downhill. You didn't make the playoffs last year. You've gone out in the first round before that. And this year, if you don't beat Miami tomorrow night in the play-in, you won't make the playoffs again. So, Trae, I'm trying to encourage you, really. This is all about inspiration and motivation. You have the numbers of a potential Hall of Famer. He actually does. I mean, I'm not saying and I don't think of him that way. I'm just saying when you look at the numbers, sure. He is a small guy. He does, obviously, people like him. He's had some big moments in the clutch. So it's just interesting. But I would say you do have to win more, Trae, for people to start thinking of you that way. And I get it. You've never had an all-star teammate. So it's not like you've had a ton of great talent around you. However, you got to start winning more. And I think the main thing, really the one thing you got to work on, just be more efficient. This year you shot 41%, 34%, I believe, from three-point range. A little gunner is not going to win. Like, little gunners don't generally win it big in the playoffs. Little gunners can make the playoffs, though. So that's what you got to do against Miami tomorrow night. Trae, I do believe in you. All right, at number 2, we've talked about him, Giannis. All right, Giannis, all-time great player, top 20-ish at this point, top 3 player in the league right now, but haven't done a lot of winning recently. You do have your 1 championship. That monkey is off your back. As Nick has said, hasn't won a playoff game since 2022? Yeah, last time we saw you got bounced in the playoffs in 2023 by the Heat in the first round. Not a great moment for you at the end of that game. Elimination game, you're running from the ball. So, look, the standards have been dropped. No one expects you to win the championship this year, so you don't really have that type of pressure on you. Even though you do have Damian Lillard with you, a championship coach, and Doc Rivers, you guys have been so mediocre that people, honestly, if you just get to the conference finals, people would really give you a lot of love for doing that. Heck, if you get to the second round, lose to the Cavs in the tough 6 or 7 games, even people will accept that. What you can't do, in my estimation, especially even with or without Dame, you can't lose to the Indiana Pacers, who are a good team, but still, you can't lose to them in the first round, all right? They've knocked you out of the playoffs before. They beat you with a big buzzer beater by Tyrese Halliburton at the end of the game. Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton should not be knocking you out of the playoffs in the first round. I kind of think they will, so I don't know if I can give a full-throated, I believe in you, but I do believe in you as an individual, just not probably your team. But prove me wrong. All right, at number one. Number one, Karl-Anthony Towns. All right, Cat, they didn't bring you to New York to lose in the first round to the Detroit Pistons, who are missing their second-best player. They just didn't.
That's true.
And again, kind of like Giannis, nobody's expecting you to win the East. Again, if you get to the second round, go out in 6 or 7 to Boston, people will actually look at that as, okay, we played Boston tough in the second round. We can build on this. It was Cat's first year here. But if you guys lose to Detroit at home, people are going to blame you. They're not going to blame Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is 6'2". He's an overachiever. He's about to be the clutch player of the year. He's got a history in New York that he's established already. You will be the one to get the blame. All right, I think you've had a great year. I got your second team All-NBA on my ballot, so you might make that. But we talked about Julius Randle, former Knick, who was traded for you were traded for, struggling in the playoffs. You have too. So let's look at Cat's numbers postseason. Everything drops. 5 points a game almost drop in points. Rebounds a little lower. Assists a little lower. Field goal percentage drops. 3-point percentage drops significantly. That's the one thing that goes up. Fouls. And we know that's been a problem with you in Minnesota. Fouls go up. So, Cat, I think you're a great player. And not kind of guy that might be building a Hall of Fame resume. At the very least, man, you have to lead the Knicks past the Pistons. Cat, I do believe in you. I do believe in you.
Great Bud list, as always. Coach, did you like the Bud list?
Nailed it again.
Thank you, Coach.
You know what's good about this, Nick, is his segment is so motivational. He motivates people on the desk.
Yeah.
He got Kevin Wiles to up his game. I mean, that's really impressive. So hopefully I can hold up my end of the bargain. The guy that I'm going to add to the Bud list is a guy that really hasn't been talked about that much, considering where he's going to be drafted, and that's Cam Ward. Okay, and just Cam Ward's a really nice story, really interesting story. So in high school, he throws 12 times per game his senior year, doesn't have any scholarship offers. He's a 0-star. He's got 0 stars.
I don't like
so he finally gets an offer. Well, they ran the wing T, so it was hard to evaluate.
Did he run for a lot of yards?
I mean, yeah, he was still a very good player, but he couldn't get any love. And so his only offers from the University of Incarnate Word. And he goes there for 2 years, lights it up. That's an FCS school. Transfers to Washington State, does really well there. Declares for the draft, then decides this quarterback group is, pretty impressive. Maybe I'll take a step back, get the NIL money from Miami. He does that, and now he's in the mix for the number 1 overall draft pick. It's going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. But here's where I think we're running into problems, and we just talked about this with Genty, is we don't need to talk about all the things you're going to do, Cam. So let's pull up the quote that he had. And he's had a few of these quotes. And either you're going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You got to remember I'm the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that. Then he's talking to Shedeur, and Shedeur says, which team has the best chance to win a ring? The Giants, the Browns, the Titans, and whoever drafts me. That was his follow-up. So let's talk about the reality of being the number 1 overall draft pick as a quarterback. So here's the last 10 years of guys who have been drafted number 1 overall, and it's a pretty mixed bag. Okay, so you got Burrow, and Goff, but Goff didn't win it with the Rams.
Rams,
yeah. So it's a pretty mixed bag. But let's also talk about the last 35 years. If your name's not Manning, okay, and if you're not Stafford 13 years into your career, you're not a starter who was drafted #1 overall who won a Super Bowl ring. So there's been 3 guys who've been drafted #1 overall in the last 35 years who've won a Super Bowl ring. So this road is a pretty hard and long road. So maybe just slow down on talking about all the things you're going to do. And again, go in. You've had a great career. You've earned this opportunity. But just let's under-promise and over-deliver.
That's a good one, Coach. If you can throw up that graphic again, I don't even think when you look at the quarterbacks, Coach, it's not a mixed bag with the quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb is obviously open. You know, we'll see what happens with that. Bryce so far, Trevor so far, obviously Burrow, Kyler, Baker's become something, Goff, Jameis. Like, most of those guys haven't panned out.
And the only one that is a guaranteed hit for the team that drafted him is Burrow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, listen, I believe in Trevor, but it's not guaranteed yet. The other guys, we haven't seen enough or they moved on.
But think about the fact that in 35 years, the 2 Manning brothers and Stafford. And Stafford, it took 13 years.
Right.
And those are the only guys that have won Super Bowls by guys who've been drafted.
Yeah, and Stafford not with his team.
Yeah, not with his team and deep into his career.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Wow. It's a little after 4:10 on the Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. 4:15 actually.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, honey, come in here. It's time for the Media Ombudsman. Been sitting here for 5 minutes and 49 seconds. So here we go. Sports Media Ombudsman.
You're going to love this. Because the Sports Media Ombudsman, I think sometimes it's an unfair rep. Thinks it's always negative. Anybody who's ever read the Ombudsman? Well, but sometimes you can give credit. But any Ombudsman is just surveying and saying what needs addressing. So I would like to give credit to a member of the media, a member of the print media, actually, Tim McMahon, who covers the Dallas Mavericks and really the entire southwestern corridor for ESPN, because Nico Harrison had a press conference this week finally addressing the Luka trade after briefly addressing it the day after the trade. And now no cameras were allowed and no microphones were allowed, but they did allow a transcription. You know, it wasn't allowed to be transcribed. And Nico Harrison, sadly, in this press conference, Wilds, is ruining your catchphrase, and I don't think he knows what wins championships. So I'm just going to read you a bit of the back and forth, again, because no audio or video, so you're just going to, my recreating of it. So Nico opened his portion of it by saying, listen, Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Lively, that's a championship caliber team. You guys were able to see it for 2.5 quarters. Fortunately, that's small sample size, but it's clearly a dominant defensive team.
Right.
As you're going forward, it's our philosophy, we're a team building defense. Wait before we get to the next one. Tim McMahon then opens the press conference, Brew, with this question. First question of the press conference. Tim McMahon says, and I quote, "You've got an outraged fan base. It's been outraged since the day you made the trade. Overwhelming majority opinion of your fan base, they want you fired. How do you respond to that? And why do you believe that Patrick Dumont should not take them up on that advice?" And now we are going to go with a thorough back and forth. Well, view of Dallas passionate fan base for us to reach our goals. Fan base, to be honest with you, every trade I've made has not been regarded as a good trade, and so sometimes it takes time. Goes on, and this is where the defense win championship stuff, Wild. So you guys can just roll through them, Hubs. So I think a lot of times trades take a little bit of time, but our philosophy, like I said, going forward is defense wins championships. We're built on defense. This trade cements us for that. So Tim McMahon, great journalist, follows up. In your own words, you created a 3 to 4 year time frame in building a finals team. That team went to the finals last year. Gave up your first round picks, 27, 28, 29, 30. 3 to 4 year ends, you're out of your first round draft capital. How is that a logical decision? Tough question, but fair. Keep saying the same thing, but defense wins championships.
That's true.
I believe that we have a championship caliber team, not only for now, but also for the future. One more follow-up. Tim McMahon. And you didn't believe that the team that went to the finals last year with Luke as a centerpiece could continue to contend for championships? To which he says, I'll say this again, defense wins championships. So, Brew, great job by Tim McMahon under adverse circumstances. Not a great job by Nico Harrison with 2 months to prepare. What are we going to tell him about the Luka trade?
I like that.
I know what I'm going to tell him. Defense wins championships.
No, look, obviously excellent job by Tim McMahon. I think, honestly, Nick, Now, I don't like them not having cameras. And I don't know that that's Nico's decision, but they should have had cameras.
Yeah.
But in the situation he's in, I'm not even trying to defend Nico. This trade is indefensible to me. But he handled it about as best as he could. Like, what? There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else you can say. Is there any? I mean, how in the world do you defend yourself against those true questions from Tim McMahon?
I didn't include the part where Tim asked him, he was like, why didn't you wait for him to sign the Supermax? And Nico said, well, we don't know if he was going to sign the Supermax. And Tim said, Nico, he was balling on the bench, and I think he was going to, so tough spot.
It was
tough spot.
It was terrible.
That did set the record for quote panels in one segment, though.
I know you hate that. There's nothing else we could do.
I like the way he stayed with his talking point. He got away from that.
I knew you were going to say that. I know you don't like that.
The only reason we didn't have that last quote, the person that makes the quote panels just quit. Couldn't pay the overtime. My addition to the Bud list. Everyone's going to, I know what you're going to say, okay? I know what you're going to say. Wilds, you need to quit this guy.
If this is Mac Jones.
Worse.
No way.
I'm wondering.
Jared
Ben Simmons.
No!
Yeah!
Oh!
You're riding with Ben Simmons?
Big time. It's a motivational segment.
This is why I gave the
It's the most motivational segment in all of sports.
Your Clippers.
Okay. Tomer Azerly asked Ty Lue, like, hey, you should remind.
Better not be a quote panel.
No, I wouldn't. We couldn't. I said, hey, come on, Rick.
We ran out.
Said they're busy.
No more
I
budget.
came back. There's 50 people. Do you have to remind Ben Simmons to look to score more? He said yes, because Ben Simmons been on a little bit of a scoring drought of late. Last few games. 0 against the Warriors, 0 against the Kings, 0 against San Antonio, 2 against Dallas, and 0 against the Pelicans.
2 points in his last 5 games.
Not great. It equals out to 0.4, so it's less than half a point. Averaging about 13 minutes, though. Since the new year, the calendar year 2025, he has scored double digits 4 times against 3 teams. Twice against the Jazz, obviously. Once against the Hornets. Again, obviously, and once against
the Nuggets,
the Denver Nuggets. I'm just saying, there's a glimmer of hope that he can make this. Ooh, a little alley-oop. He's got that little left-handed right.
Well, he can.
That
dunk.
was a little something.
He can dunk.
What was that? That was a little something. He's got these little jump hooks. All I'm saying is,
I mean,
Ben,
that looks good. I will give you that.
Be a little bit more aggressive. Ty Lue wants you to be aggressive. And here's the other thing, Ben, because I know you're like, well, other guys are better shooters. I shouldn't do it. Your 2 points are emotionally like 4 or 5 points. It's really like, man, if Ben Simmons is out here scoring 6 points, we're doomed.
No,
so, Ben, be aggressive. I believe in you. I might be the only one, but I believe in you.
Wilds, that's not bad.
Thank
Look.
you.
I'll tell you this, in all seriousness, if Ben would cooperate or people around him or have been around him would cooperate, that'd be a great documentary one day. Like, really, there's clearly something in his head about shooting. He got a phobia about shooting the basketball. It'd be a really because remember him in college, he was phenomenal. And even his first few years in NBA.
And the playoff game will be interesting because of what it says on the screen there. The last playoff game he played in was the end of his career as a real basketball player.
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, he sat on the bench for those net. Remember, we thought he was going to be available.
He has not played in a playoff game since the game that ended the Ben Simmons as we knew him when he refused to take the layup. And they, lightly ripped him afterwards. And then he's like, I am out of here.
Now, as we go to break, it's crumble cookie time. What a wonderful Bud list.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.